Which brings us to today. I think people that travel around Florida and have a good knowledge of everything know where some of the pressure points are. And I think that both tourists and residents alike have seen what you can have in the way of traffic on I-75 here in the Ocala area. You can have major backups, standstill traffic. And again, that's not necessarily just limited to rush hour. That can happen at any time of the day. This is one of the most used, if not the most used, tourist corridors. 15% of all visitors to Florida come down I-75 from Georgia. We also have major freight that's moved across I-75. And as we saw again this past year, I-75 is essential for hurricane evacuations. During Hurricane Milton, we implemented emergency shoulder use on I-75 so that people on the West Coast could evacuate quickly and safely. And we were able to safely evacuate millions of people out of harm's way. Now, on evacuations, we always stress you don't necessarily even have to get on an interstate. There's usually shelters within your county, but we know people want to get out of Dodge, and so that's what happened. And so they look at that. People always ask, every time we do this, we open the shoulder, and you do that at once the traffic gets a certain level, you open the shoulder, because there's a little bit of risk in that, so you don't do that willy-nilly, and want people to be safe, you do it. People will always say, are you going to do contraflow where you shut down going south so everyone can go north? No, it doesn't work. This has been studied. They've done it. There's safety issues to it, of course, but it just doesn't work. And you also need to flow both ways because as you may, as a resident, want to evacuate, we are bringing in first responders to go into the eye of the storm to be able to respond. Our utility workers, all these things. Heck, in the Milton, we had major flooding in Port Manatee and Port Tampa Bay, and it knocked out their operations for a couple days. That's where a lot of the gasoline comes in. So we set up like these mini gas stations around the west coast of Florida. People could come in and get free gas, get in the line with these massive tankers. And it's like, okay, we had to fill a need, we'll do it. But the reality is we bring a lot of stuff in. So it worked really well, and we're happy to be able to do that. Now, with moving Florida forward, we are able to infuse $541 million to accelerate this I-75 project, where we are creating more lanes on I-75 between State Road 44 and State Road 326. That is going to make a difference for people. That is going to make it better for traveling in this direction. This was something that is being accelerated by between 10 and 15 years, depending on how the schedule would shake out. And I looked at that, I saw the traffic, I'm like, I've got money in the kitty, like we can't wait 15 years, we got to get going now. So I'm happy that we'll be able to do. These auxiliary lanes will cover over 31 miles. And again, that's from Wildwood, State Road 44 to State Road 326 in Ocala. And again, that's 10 and 15 years ahead of schedule. And because we advanced this Moving Florida Forward project, Florida Department of Transportation was able to begin work on the new 49th Street interchange, which is going to have a major economic impact. They came to me a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they said, Governor, we have a request from either Marion County or the city of Ocala or something for job growth grant funding. So I have job growth, I can give it out for infrastructure and job training. And they're like, you know, they want to create this interchange on Northwest 49th Street off I-75. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's fine. And then they're going, and I'm like, look, I get pitched on a lot of things, right? I mean, it just goes with the job. And so I'm just kind of going, they're going through some stuff. And then I'm like, all right, you know, I didn't commit to anything. And then whoever was briefing me paused, kind of looked up at me and said, oh, by the way, sir, if we do this interchange, they will be able to do a Buc-ee's right there off the exit. I said, sign me up. I am good with that. And so there is going to be a Buc-ee's. And when we said we would do the interchange and everything, Buc-ee's did the announcement. I think we did an announcement here. I remember they were throwing out candy and stuff to people. And at the time of the announcement, it was the largest Buc-ee's in the entire United States. Have all you been to who has been to a Buc-ee's before? Okay, most of you. I mean, it's like the Shangri-La of service stations. It is unbelievable. And it's like merchandise. It's got, if you want beef jerky, they make it on site. Barbecue, ice cream stuff, I mean, you name it, they have it. It is, once people do the Buc-ee's, it's kind of something that they always want to do. It's funny because the owner of Buc-ee's is a friend of mine. He's been supportive politically, and he's involved in Texas. And, sometimes if you're involved on one side, the other side wants to attack you. So I remember there was a couple years ago, there was an effort. These are like probably paid left-wing groups. They wanted to boycott Buc-ee's because the owner had given to like Governor Abbott. And I'm like, yeah, that boycott ain't going to work very well. People are not giving up Buc-ee's. Don't worry about that. So we're going to be able to do that, and I think it's going to be really good. The first Buc-ee's went in St. Augustine off I-95 on the World Golf Village. The second Buc-ee's went in off I-95 on LPGA Boulevard in Daytona Beach. And both of those have been wildly successful. Then you're going to have this one, and they've also announced they are going to be doing a Buc-ee's off I-10 near Tallahassee, which is going to revolutionize driving on I-10. I can tell you that right now. So we're looking forward to all of that. So this is going to be really, really good. The regional economic impact of all of this is expected to exceed $2.3 billion. And so, we're meeting the needs that the people have in this part of the state, but also just people who want to come to Florida, who want to travel through. We know it's important. I don't know how you can possibly keep up with the population growth of the villages. I mean, it's unbelievable. They'll do home housing. They'll do new housing starts across the country. And there'll be places that are kind of booming, and then the villages is like this. They're always number one. It's like nonstop boom, and they have Marion, they have Sumter, they have Lake, they have all kind of places around there. And so it's just a lot, right? And it puts stress on infrastructure. So we're responding here. We're going to hear from some other folks in a minute. And then after that, I'll probably take a few questions. Then we'll go over and we will actually do the groundbreaking of this project.